In addition to scanning stressor and balancer virtual items, which we explain in the manual scanning basics video, there are several other options available to you in the manual scanning screen. In this video, we'll cover these options, including how to use the virtual antenna feature and how to generate and customize the manual scan report. So first, let's look at how we can determine a personalized dosage for any balancer virtual item. We've already scanned our stressors and the balancers here, so we can find the preferred dosage on any of these balancers by clicking the glass icon and selecting Dose Scan. Note that you can also edit the dose manually by clicking Dose Edit below that. The product company has a recommended dosage range for each product, but we can find out the body's preferred dosage by clicking that Dose Scan and then selecting which balancers we want to scan from there. So let's click Next, and back on the Balancers tab, any dosage that has changed from the recommended dosage will be displayed in blue. If it didn't change, it will show as orange. We can also potentize any virtual item. This is what we do before sending any of these items out using the virtual antenna. Homeopathics come in certain potencies, and so that's what we would use this for. We can select the product and then click the Potencies button. And then from there, you can select the potencies you want for that virtual item, and it will run a scan and select the optimal ones. In addition to potentizing a balancer, you could also potentize any stressor by moving it down to the balancer table. So maybe I want to potentize this parasites virtual item. I can go over to this log on the left and select the last stressor scan that I ran. Then I come up to this drop down and select Send to Balancer Table. Then select the item and move it over with this blue bar. Now we can click the Potentize button and we can select the potencies. Now it's ready to send via the virtual antenna. And through the law of similars, this can impact the body in a coherent way just as the balancers on this list would. So again, after potentizing, we can now send these potentized items out through the virtual antenna by clicking this icon. And we can put any type of carrier next to that antenna, whether that's water or something else. And when we click this virtual antenna icon and select the items to include and click Next, it will send those virtual item frequencies out and the carrier will hold those frequencies. Then you would have the client drink the water over the course of the next 24 hours. Or if it's another type of carrier, like a homeopathic solution, you can have them use that as recommended. Another thing you can do with manual scanning is use this external stimulus button. So you can leave the scan the way it is, and you would take your client and do a service you provide like a chiropractic adjustment or acupuncture. Then when you come back, you would click on the external stimulus button. Then come back up here to the stressors table and click the rescan icon. And what that will do is show how the service you just did impacted the stressors. So if it was beneficial in relation to these stressors, it will bring more of them back into range. Along with scanning products, we can scan services as well to see which ones would be best for balancing the out-of-range stressors. This may be something that you offer in office or that you refer out to someone else. Or there are also services in there that the client can do on their own, like deep breathing, for example. That's another option to add to your balancers. So we have the option to just do a service directly and see how it impacts the stressors, or we can see which services the body prefers by scanning for those service balancers. Okay, so now you can see that we've added already these two products and done the stressor rescan with those in the circuit before we did the external service. Then now, after doing the external service, we can see the total impact of those on the stressor virtual items. Now I'll just mention briefly here some of the other icons and what they do. These typically aren't used as much as the ones we just went over, but they can be helpful. So first, we have this binary scan button. Rather than the linear scan, which is what we used for this example, the binary scan divides items into two groups, and then the group with the most positive DR values is eliminated. This process continues until there's only one virtual item left. So it's basically a way to compare virtual items against each other and see which one is the last one standing, so to speak. This is just the opposite if you use this feature in the balancer table. It will divide the items into two groups, and the group with the most negative DR values is eliminated until there's one left. Next to that, we also have this triangle icon. This is just a way to filter the stressors in this table. So if we want to see in-range items, for example, we could deselect that. Next is this plus icon, which allows us to import virtual items from various places, such as past sessions and the filters table. We can also select this chain link icon here, which you can use to quickly scan associated items, such as vectors. So we could click that and come in here and select heart, for example, and then it will scan anything that is energetically connected to the heart. Then we have the category icon, which allows us to add, replace, or clear categories that we have in the table. Then last is this X icon, which allows us to delete any items that we've added to the table. Now, it's always a good idea to name your session, and we can do this at the top here by clicking Name Session. And you can then give the scan a descriptive name to remember it by. This could be the main stressors, balancers you used, or anything else that you would use to make it easier for you to remember what you did during that scan at a quick glance. You'll notice here that you can copy a session as well by clicking this button. That's useful if you want to run through the same process you did in your next session with a client. All right, the last thing to go over is the reports. And with the Elite, the reports are fully customizable. You can select what you want to include in the report, so you can give the client as much detail as you want. So what I'll do is I'll come over here and click this icon next to where it says Create Report. This is a basic report that shows any stressors that weren't brought into range, and then all the balancers that were selected below that. You can also come in here and edit this report by selecting the Edit button. Now you can come in and change what's displayed. So maybe I don't want to show all the balancers in the table. I can come in and remove what I don't want. Deselect these other balancers here and remove them. I can also come in here to the stressor section of the report. And maybe I want to include more stressors, not just the out-of-range ones. So I can come to this drop-down and select it to show all the stressors. Then I can select different graphical displays for these two. If I want to show the stress profile, I can select that. You can see how the report looks now with those changes. And you can also add other graphics or content you want to this report using these blocks on the left. For example, I could drag over a text block here and add a coupon discount for their next visit. You can see that I can change the background color, text color, font size, and so on. Another option for the reports is to go into the Biosurveys tab here and select this Report Only Biosurvey. And this will give you a more detailed report right off the bat. You can do the same thing here. Come up to Edit Report to customize the report further. So again, you can move things around, add blocks from this left side if you want to add more text or images. Maybe you want to add more information about a referral bonus or something. You can easily create things like that here. You'll notice here too, this eye icon. You can select those to show or hide any of the sections. So you can see how flexible this is to create any kind of report that you want. The important thing to keep in mind is to not make the report something that's going to be confusing for the client. But you want it to be something that they can easily understand and share with others. So keep that in mind as you create your custom report. Okay, that's an overview of how to run a manual scan. This is a fun one to go in and experiment with. And you'll find that as you do, and as you go through the process with clients, you'll get better and better at customizing it to fit your needs and to make your sessions more effective and efficient.